Hello, good evening. It's Wednesday the 9th of October. How the hell are you? It is not a lovely day outside, Jack.
No, it's not, is it?
It's been a bit of a overcasty, rainy, crappy, weathery kind of day.
It's been international break weather.
It has.
Hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. We've had quite a day. Have we? No, it's not a normal day, haven't we, really?
Yeah, but you know, we've
Mr. Flipper made a return for a bit.
had Mr. Flipper's always popping his head in these days.
Flipper's there.
Flipper.
Ped had an exclusive interview.
Yeah, with Mr. Flipper.
Ned, not with Mr. Flipper. Ned has been Ned. It's all good. It's all good. It's class. And he's now grunting.
It's your mic on, Ned.
It's all good.
No, I'm just enjoying a Rocky.
Oh, Ned,
That
I'm
wasn't
gonna.
a cute. I was
I'm
asking
gonna
if you
miss
had
this.
it on so it didn't.
I'm gonna
hear
miss this.
the munching.
Speaking
I'm gonna
to
miss
me.
looking across and seeing Ned going, I'm having a Rocky.
What are you gonna do if like the next person who does Ned's job's just like normal?
They're not gonna get it. If
Go,
they're just
great.
like,
You know loads about audio
Yeah,
and
you're
video. Like, you
brilliant.
know your stuff. But how weird are you?
yeah, you're a bit
What do you
of
reckon are
weirdness.
like AI photos of animals in like suits?
No.
And
What I want is, you've got to be.
I think you've got to be a bit of a weirdo to do my job.
But we want them both. We want a bit of Jack's Mr. Flipper. Can they break out into Mr. Flipper?
yeah, what are your impressions?
Got to
like,
be a
son?
bit of a loser.
Yeah,
can't you?
and have they got Ned's technical wizardry?
Yeah.
So you got to have both. A bit of a version of you two, like a hybrid version
Yeah.
of you two would be ideal.
Well, no, probably going to need two pairs of hands, too, aren't you? You're going to need someone to replace Ned.
I'll be honest, I'm not convinced we're getting a candidate who's got two pair of hands, Jack.
That's why you go and get two people instead.
Well, there you go.
So you need a new Ned and a new Jack.
Oh, no. I don't, yeah. Who knows? Who knows? It's going to be a sad day in a few weeks, that's all I can say. Good afternoon, everybody. There
We'll
you
have to go for the Nando's.
Okay.
You're just hungry.
Yeah.
Starving now.
They sell Rockies.
Okay,
About
now. Okay. So this, right, okay. Yeah, all right, leave that with me. Tom Wilson says, get me through my night shift in Melbourne, lads.
I was going to say a bit early for the night shift, but then you added on that you had on. What time's it in Melbourne? What would it be now? Are they 12 hours?
12 or 10, is it? I don't know.
12 or 10.
I'm sure Tom will let us know
Yeah.
in a minute. And Chris Stevens, I mean, this is the beauty of this show. Tom's doing his night shift in Melbourne. Chris Stevens is greeting us in the morning from North Dakota.
North Dakota.
So what do you think about that, Jack?
That's incredible, really, because you often hear about like South Dakota, but the North doesn't often get a mention.
Doesn't get as mentioned and as
No.
good a press as South Dakota, but I
But
don't know
I'm
why.
sure it's just as lovely, if not better.
Chris will tell us. Chris will tell us whether North Dakota is better than South Dakota. And an honest appraisal from Chris, he might turn around and go, actually, you know what, the South is
it's a
better.
bit dead.
But he might say the North's better. And we can
Yeah.
only take Chris's word for it, given not attended
You hold the power,
anywhere
Chris.
in North Dakota. Yeah. KC is in denial and he's got a shirt on. I don't know whether he's in Egypt or he means he really is in denial, but I don't know.
You
Yeah.
only just clock.
Okay.
No.
All right, Jack. I mean, I won't miss that. I won't miss that bit of it, you know what I mean?
Well, I just thought, like, for the hot weather, because you'd assume it's probably quite warm in Egypt, even still. But no, listen, you know, I'm a firm member of Team Shorts, but you leave the shorts before the shorts leave you. You know, when the weather's just not weathering.
Yeah, but you know what they're doing there, though? They're toughening up, Jack.
There's a time and place, though. You know what I mean? I'm happy wearing shorts like into September. You know, it's 11 degrees. It's not really shorts, whatever. But you know, you're team shorts, aren't you? So you're committed. But I just think it's a point where you've got to recognise
It's
what's
11
done
and
is
a
done.
half degrees today, though. So is that
No, but it's raining today and there's a cold
I
wind
get it.
as well.
I get it. Okay, that's fine.
I'm with Jack as in like I love
Jack.
shorts, but like at the moment like I feel like I benefit more from pants because I've got these pants right now which like tell me when to stop eating because they start shrinking
Okay.
when I've
They're
had too
clever
much.
pants.
I like right now I've just had a Rocky too. I told you before I had the Rocky. I don't think I should be eating this because my pants were telling me stop. I've had the Rocky now. The pants have come open.
But by the time you go to
so I know not to eat anymore.
you'll be all right.
Well, I probably won't have the pants on then.
No, on your way to... You're not going to be driving like bollock, or are you, to training?
Oh, I'll probably have shorts on at training.
No, on your way.
Oh, on my
There'll be
way
a
to
transition,
training.
surely, from your chinos to your training gear, surely.
Oh, yeah, of course. But I normally open the button anyway in the car because
Oh.
you're in the comfort of your own space, aren't you? You don't want a button stopping you from
Fair enough.
breathing and stuff.
Absolutely love it. Jay, listen, if the opportunity arises on the overlap for me to speak to Jamie Carragher about said comments, I will. Chris Byrne, who's a YouTube member, says, who wins in a fight between the round the tower chicken and Ned's Landud no pigeon? Ned, you do realise that you're going to escape. We've let the nation down as a company, which means that at some stage you're going to have to be brought back from your next job back into an arena where we can go to said North Wales to see whether you were telling the truth about being able to survive a seagull attack.
Well, you see, I've had a bit with a seagull already, and it didn't want it. So,
But we have to witness, don't we?
I just feel like they're going to be the same in Llandudno as they are. You know, if Brighton, Brighton as a seagull on a badge, that shows how, you know, how powerful the seagulls in Brighton are. So,
and you survived that.
Who's to say that Llandudno is going to be even harder? And they didn't want any of it in Brighton. They were kind of like, no, you eat what you want and do what you want, and we'll just sit and watch.
Okay, fair play. Nick is watching from Turkey. It's a bit summery over here, over 30. He's just bragging,
that is
isn't he?
short weather, yeah.
He's
I
just
mean,
bragging.
he didn't have to style on us like that.
He's just bragging. Michael, yes, he is moving on to pastures new. Sadly. Robbo says, afternoon, lads. I listened to the audio for the VAR incident for Dom and Dan Burn. The dialogue heavily influences a bias before they even look at the incident. Amateur from PG MOL. Same for the Bruno red card. Yeah. Dark Arts has just got home from work and he's in Birkenhead.
His name's Dark Arts. Fair play to him. Sounds menacing.
Tom, it's 3:12 right now in Australia.
That'd
in
be 10
Melbourne.
hours then, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It's also still got
I said
ways
10.
to go.
It depends on where he was, yeah. He finishes at R5. There you go.
My
Chris
thoughts are
says
with
the
you.
south is better, honestly. Not much here in the north, but farmland.
No,
But Chris, you've been honest there about Dakota, hasn't
the thing is, for me though, Chris, I have no knowledge of North Dakota, and I don't think Baz does either. So you could have like upsold your area a little bit, and we would have been none the wiser if you just could have like, no, mate, it's boss. Like, you know what I mean? Well better than the South, well better than like most of the country. I'd been, fair enough. I don't know. It's better apparently, isn't it? According to Chris, even though he lives in the North.
Dinosaurs in South Dakota. A lot of dinosaurs were discovered there. KC says, I am near a river, but it's the Mersey, not the Nile. He was the one in the Nile.
Sort of like a big thing in South Dakota, don't you?
Mr. The thingy. The big thing.
The big thing.
Yeah.
I'll leave it there.
I don't know what the big
Mount
thing
Rushmore.
is. Yeah, that is a big thing, isn't it?
There's a big thing. All the heads on it. James Graham says, sack the net. Andy Coogan is in Somerset and says, hello. Danny Ellis says, soft southern seagulls are no match for northern birds net.
Or round the tower chickens, because, you know, you talk about determined.
They are
every day
determined.
on the clock, punctual.
Chris isn't from North Dakota originally, though. He's clarified. He wanted that
All
clarifying.
right, fair enough. Where is he from originally? Has he not said?
I don't
If
know.
you're from the south originally, fair enough. But I think if that's your area, you need to be upselling it because, you know, at that point we can spread the words, and, you know, maybe it adds a bit of like value onto your property.
Possibly.
And that I
Possibly.
just feel like you'd missed a step. But I respect your honesty.
Dakota is cowboy land, isn't it? Says Dark Hats. Don't know. James says, Ned, wish you all the best in your new venture. People wishing you well.
What does he want?
Let's
Just
check
wishing you well.
check your phone.
Chris,
Thanks,
he's
James.
wishing you well. Obviously, we'll do this closer to the time. He's not leaving for a few weeks, but we'll do it closer to the time. Chris is from Texas.
Oh, fair enough. Then I imagine Texas is probably quite nice. Or, has nice parts to it.
Tommy, don't be silly. Don't be silly. Right, we have got Brian on the line. This should be interesting because Vasteras lost again at the weekend. Brian's local team, they were beaten 2-1 at the weekend, but Everton didn't lose. So
that's because Brian took all their fans to come and watch Everton.
He did, to be fair, he did. Brian, are you there, and what do you want to say?
I'm here. And yes, they did lose. There's 2 minutes to go.
They did, I saw it, Brian, I saw that.
But that's the way it goes, Being an Evertonian, it's one and the same thing, isn't it? Letting in a late one.
Playing out.
Anyway, I'm glad it's you two who are there at the moment, because if you remember last week, I asked you both a question. Remember?
On the phone in.
Okay.
Refresh,
yes.
Brian. Refresh, Brian. Go on.
Okay. I said, okay, refresh me. So, I asked you if you had one question for Alan Myers, what would it be?
Oh, yeah.
Remember?
We answered it. I didn't know that.
Your question, Myers. I have answers for you.
Oh, okay. Go on then.
I was fortunate to meet the great man. So anyway, about your question, Mr. Cass, about how do you engage better with the fan base?
Yeah.
And what he basically said was, it's about engaging and re-engaging, right? Not just giving them answer, but carry on. Don't just let the matter drop, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then give it straight. Be honest. Don't try and talk around the subject or an uncomfortable answer, because supporters would appreciate the honesty, and they can actually take it because they're not stupid, not easily fooled, and would very much appreciate a bit of straightforward honesty. So that was basically what he said of your question. And of course, Jack, he was asking about the Friedkin group and whether we were serious, ambitious, passionate. Was it just about money, profits? That was your question, Jack, if you remember.
Yeah, essentially.
And is there a middle ground, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Now, his answer was that he's confident that they're good people, and that that he likes them. Now, if he likes them, that's good enough for me, because he knows more than I do. And he's going to talk about the American model, but I couldn't quite get everything in that because of the acoustics in the room were not particularly good. No. But one thing he did say, I'm not coming back. Now, obviously, he has to say that.
Of course.
But I don't know if he meant it. But time will tell. You never know. He might not even be offered the job. So that was that. That's what I wanted to come back with. Then there was a call out to anybody out there listening who is a member of an Everton fan club somewhere around the world. Because we, the Swedish Toffees, were invited to BBC Radio Merseyside, to Dave Munt, who is doing a documentary, project on foreign supporters, wanting to know about the individual supporters clubs and individuals in it, or why Everton or whoever it may be. So I thought maybe give a bit of a hand, and maybe people could get in touch with him if you are a member of a foreign supporter club. So that would be a very interesting little documentary.
Yeah,
I
definitely
feel. So I thought I'd just give that a bit of a tip, and then to you, Mr. Kaspari, I just said I'm grateful for your comment about you liking my comment. Which I wrote the other day, was Ped and Jack were more going on about sizes of TV screens and things. You actually understood my comments, and I'm grateful for that. And thank you.
No, Brian, I'm on your wavelength. No worries, my friend.
Well, somebody is, my God, will you marry me?
What did they understand?
So anyway,
Sorry,
I just
Brian.
wanted to get back to that and
Just
say
because I
that,
don't understand a lot of things.
You were going on about Brian was just talking about being in the stadium,
Yeah.
noticing you see more, or actually what Brian was saying was you realise how poor Everton's sort of style is when you're in the stadium. You get to see, where you just said he was bragging about the size of his telly, which he wasn't. He was just saying being there, you get to see the whole thing rather than
I misheard you. Sorry,
a
Brian.
flat TV.
I thought you were coming on to say you had a brand new like big telly, and you were just finding a way to worm it in there. But I apologise. Sorry, Brian.
no apology is necessary required at all. It was a written comment.
It was.
And,
I fully chastised him, Brian. I've shown him the error of his ways and enlightened him as to what you really meant.
If this apology is genuine, then okay.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it's
Give it straight, man. Give it straight.
From my heart.
Nice one, Bri.
Yeah, besides, as you're watching Evan on the TV, it doesn't matter what side the screen is brown.
That we can agree on, yeah.
Yeah, let's leave it there, my friend. Let's leave it there.
Right.
Cheers, Bri.
Cheers,
All the
Bri.
best.
Nice
No, no.
one.
See you, mate. Take
Bye-bye.
it easy. Bye.
What colour's brown to you?
Brown is still brown to me, Ned. Unless
a
it's a
good point, to
shade.
be fair.
Unless it looks a bit like green, which my eyes.
Why would it look like green if it's brown? I know for you why it would, but like brown is brown.
What's pink?
Pink is. I'm all right with pink. Mainly, it's different shades. I can be a bit sketchy with. When this comes up, I always get the same thing. Oh yeah. So what colours? The grass.
Which one's this?
Do you know what I mean?
What colour do Everton play
yeah,
in?
that one. You know what I mean?
I always wondered, like, if we all see the same colour anyway. Because this, like, whatever you see and whatever I see, the colour of that shirt behind you is still that colour. So if we might be seeing a different blue, but whatever it is, it's still blue to us.
To us.
So how do I know that my blue isn't your green or isn't your
Because you can
yellow?
speak to people and
Yeah, but
be
if
like-
you just describe it, you might say, well, it's got a hint of green in it. Oh, what's green? You will just never know, will we? It's just one of these things that will, unless you can get someone's eyes and look through their eyes.
I
But then
feel
they'd
like
be
the
your
concept
eyes,
of
wouldn't they?
colour names are very much a man-made philosophy, though. So it's sort of like agreed upon. Like we can all agree that that's blue.
Yeah,
You know
it is
what I
blue,
mean?
but it's my blue, your blue.
Well, go on. How does it look to you? Is it a darker blue?
It's
This bit?
it's blue. It's got hints of like
Let's move on.
the ocean in it. But if I put your eyes and my eyes, will I still say the same blue or?
I'd hope so. I'd very much hope
Well,
so.
like,
Ned.
everything is an interpretation of it, isn't
We'll
it?
never know.
But
Yeah.
I personally, my eyes are my eyes. But I can tell that grass is green.
Yeah.
And I do know that Everton playing blue.
Well, even whatever it looks like to you, sort of like what Ned's saying, actually, this actually applies to you. Even if blue doesn't look like blue to you in the same way it does to me, you know it's blue. It just looks different for you.
Who's to say that Baz
It is mad though,
isn't
isn't it?
really seeing true reality and we're all blind?
Are we the baddies?
Maybe Baz has got a better perception of what's really
I'm
there.
not convinced
No.
that that's real.
Well, we don't know for sure.
we
do
don't
we?
know,
I can't-
but I don't know colours. So if someone said, I don't know, like a version of a colour, I wouldn't know what that pertains to.
Do you know what magenta is?
This is no word of a lie. I was literally going to say that if someone said magenta and you went there with magenta.
I don't think I know what magenta
No, I don't know
is.
what it is.
It's like
it a pink?
It's like a purpley pink.
Right.
You think?
See,
yeah.
there's the issue. Why? Why is it purpley? This is VAR all over. Why is it
actually with you,
purpley?
to be
It's either
honest.
purple or
It's purple or it's pink.
I don't like when people make up colours. You know, and people go, "Oh, that's turquoise." That and it's like, no, it's light blue. You know what I mean?
Yeah, see, so I feel like they're having a go at me personally, making these other stupid
No,
colours.
but I'm with you. And my girlfriend gets very annoyed at me for this because she studied art and she's like, "Oh, that's a magenta, that's a turquoise, that's a blue." And I'm like, it's pink and it's blue. You know what I mean? It's just a different shade. And she's like, "No, they're actual things." I'm like, "No, you've made them up.
Yeah.
You've made them up just to sound all
People
fancy."
have done it to just get at me, I feel.
Yeah.
I just think that because we've run out of things to invent, people just go, I'll just invent something that's already there, but I'll give it a new name.
Or claret.
So we've got too many colours now, but really there's only about 3 or 4, 5
You see,
colours.
claret,
Like that,
it's a reddy
Is
purple.
a red, yeah. I know. What's weird, right? Well, I guess I'll never know. I know claret because obviously Aston Villa and Burnley's West Ham were all claret and blue, or claret, but that was their colour. So I know that kit must be claret. I don't know whether I could look at a colour and go, that's claret, but I can't unsee it now because I know that that's what their kits are.
You want to hear something funny? When what?
You're going to have a go at my disability?
No, I'm going to have a go at myself.
Oh,
When I was young and obviously first started watching football and like Villa had be coming out and the commentator saying the famous claret and blue. I thought they were saying claret and blue, like it was a different shades of blue and that like...
Claret on blue.
Claret
like
on blue.
Oh, okay.
I thought the purpley brown colour that they wear was a shade of blue and it was called claret and blue, like we were royal blue. And I'd be like, that doesn't look blue. And Tommy would be like, yeah, because they're not referring to that, are they, you little idiot? And that, not in those exact
I've got to say, it feels a bit harsh.
I think if we just cancelled and chucked out all the different shades of each colour, I think life would be so much. Like if you want to order can I order a cake?
Yeah.
Well, what colour do you want it? I want it blue. And they go, well, what blue? And I go, well, I don't know.
For electric blue, royal blue, light blue.
There's so many options. I think if we just were to simplify life, get rid of all the colours, I think
like a dark
would be,
blue or just a blue.
No, just blue. I think we'd all get by.
No, but I'm saying surely there's a light blue and a dark blue.
Well, we decide which one we keep and which one we get rid of.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think you'd end up going with the
who else if not
shade
us?
of water.
Okay. Okay. I'm sure this is riveting for everyone. I want to say welcome to Hoyle433, who has just become a YouTube member. Thank you very much. Good evening. And we've got another one. Michael Richards, 86. Welcome, Michael. Thank you very much. I've just seen Mark Thompson. Hey, guys, it's 11 a.m. here in Jamaica, and it's sunny.
11 a.m. What does that put them?
6 hours. It was before, so it'll be like half an hour behind.
No, it can't be 6 hours, because if it's a.m., they're ahead, aren't they?
No. We're p.m. How are they ahead at a.m.?
They're like the next day
they're behind.
Oh, okay.
No. It's still Wednesday over there.
Yeah,
okay.
It's just the morning.
Is there anywhere where it's Thursday now?
Australia,
as Tom's been telling us.
So they're like basically time travelers, aren't they?
But they always have like their New Year's Day before us. That used to really annoy me as a kid. Like when I'd be little, I'd be like, "No, it's not New Year's yet. The lion have gone too early. Didn't understand time zones."
They're
Sam JC, who's a YouTube member, says, "I'm on the edge of my seat here." Apologies, mate. Apologies. Yeah. Darkheart says claret, maroon and burgundy, all shades of red. They are.
Exactly.
So there you go.
Burgundy.
Can you see? We're going to take a call now. Hang on, where are we? Matt Gibson says, good evening, all. Happy Everton getting big hitters and making decisions day. I mean, fair play.
Anniversary will surely celebrate for years.
Mm-hmm. Why not?
Big hitters day.
Mark says, if Jack and Ned are leaving, have you lined up any replacements yet? Jim White has been on TalkSport linking Toffee TV with Amanda Holden. I mean, that day would be greatly extended if Amanda Holden was joining us.
I just don't think she brings the same energy.
She brings a different energy.
No, it's like...
She's never told you.
She won't be any fun around the tower.
Be like Peter Crouch signing for Barcelona, that. Just not a style, just a styles clash.
Okay.
Could she do it on a cold Wednesday night in Toffee TV?
Okay. I think she could.
Don't think she's got the same gravitas.
I think she's got a better XG than you two, I'll be honest. Who've we got? Chris?
Yeah.
Chris, good evening, and what do you want to say?
I just come to say I'm a bit sad that Ned's leaving. I mean,
Hello,
round the
Chris?
tower.
Can you not hear?
Chris.
You guys can you hear me? There we go.
I can hear you now.
Yeah.
I've just called in to say I'm a bit sad that Ned's leaving. Like, round the tower just will not be the same.
No, it won't be.
Ned, come on, dude.
No.
It won't be around the tower, will it? It'll just
No,
be.
it really
Well, it
won't.
will be round the tower. It just won't have you on it.
have the same impact.
No, it won't
whatever
have
it
the
is.
same impact.
To be fair, mate, good luck to you because you've been like a very good part of the show as well. Like a very good reason to tune in. Like, so fair play to you and good luck in your next endeavor as well, mate.
Thank you.
He doesn't know what to say.
I might make my own podcast and call it "The Shocking Truths of the World and More."
That's a good one. Why didn't you come up with any ideas like that for us?
Because it would be. I don't really like talking about football and podcasts.
No, I know.
I love football, but it's a bit boring after the weekend.
Yeah, fair enough. We will try and get him back on from time to time, Chris, if he's ever available, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd like just have like the guest appearance on Round the Tower every now and then. If you do that, then I'm happy. So I
think so. And I think in some respects, he'd be even more celebrated, wouldn't it? Imagine
come in with his best material.
We have things like this week's Round the Tower special. Ned is back, special edition, and he comes in and tells us some stories from his new place of work and things.
The problem is, what if he manages to effectively develop as a man massively in that time frame, and then suddenly comes on Round the Tower and starts talking sense?
That would be incredible.
Are you saying what if society makes him more normal? For lack of a better term, Chris.
What do you mean by exactly? What do you mean by becoming a?
Just I think Chris means. I might be paraphrasing, and Chris can answer himself. I just think he means probably more worldly.
I think I finished puberty. To be honest, Chris.
I'd go with that.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I was a moron in my 20s, and it took me a while to kind of get a bit more grounded. So that does not surprise me at all.
I think
in fact, I'm still not even there now.
If we ever do another premiere night, Chris, we can have a proper chat about what you really meant when there's no cameras on us. But that's
absolutely
it's all good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably still say the same thing anyway. So.
Yeah, of course. Before you and Ned have a riff off with the guitars, which was a very special moment.
That could be fun, actually.
Very special moment in Premier history.
I have uploaded. I did a video for Insta earlier today. There's a band called Cardinal Black, and the guitar player from that has done a solo challenge called Your Spark solo. So I've uploaded that to my Insta because if he likes it, apparently I can win a guitar. So I was like, well, it's a very sweet guitar. I've got to try and put myself forward for that. Yeah,
absolutely.
So you guys want to watch it? By all means.
Absolutely,
perfect.
Chris. I'll get Ned to critique it because remember, he's better than Ed Sheeran. So
yeah, yeah, fair enough. Should I talk about football or
go on, mate? Go on.
Yeah, I probably should. I just wanted to have a rant about Carragher's comment, to be honest, because it's utterly ridiculous and stupid. Because the other team, the opposing team in question, have fans which are accused of punching horses. But just because you have a couple of people do it doesn't mean it represents the entire fan base. And then you can also say the same thing about his fan base. I have a friend who was a Barcelona fan. When they beat Liverpool 3-0 in the Champions League, she wasn't exactly happy with Liverpool because a bunch of their fans started smashing up some of the restaurants and pubs, like restaurants and pubs and clubs there and stuff. And it's like, yeah, that can happen, but that doesn't necessarily mean that just because you've got a couple of dickheads in there, it represents the entire Liverpool fan base. So it's the same issue with the car with Anthony Gordon, and if yes, they should not have done that to Anthony Gordon's car when he was getting out of Goodison, but that does not represent the entirety of our fan base. No. So his comment is completely ridiculous.
I don't know what I'll be honest, right? I don't know what comment you're referring to. To be fair, I'm not being stupid here. I just don't go on social media, so I haven't seen anything. So what comment is it, mate? Sorry.
Well, it was on about the thing that Everton shared, and he's on about us being older people's club in irony. And
okay.
It's the same with and I've seen the other things that just come up on my Facebook or from Newcastle fans as well, or mates, or saying how hot
we drove them out and all that nonsense.
We drove them out, blah blah blah. It's ridiculous. It's it's like, hang on, you guys can turn up to our gaffing T-Rex outfits, but we can't do the same. It's like, don't dish it if you can't take it. That's just being ridiculous.
No, it's nonsense, isn't it? Because listen,
it is nonsense.
And Anthony Gordon said it Had he scored the penalty, he'd have give it to us, wouldn't he? He would have stood in front of the street end. He'd have either had his finger on his lips, or he'd have had his pointing to his head, or his fingers in his ears, or whatever.
Doing the badge.
Touching the badge, doing whatever. He was already at it when the street end was singing Red and White Shite to him. He was nodding his head and smiling and all that. He was ready. He was ready for that moment, and he's being out-psyched by Pickford, and he's missed it. So he's got to take it. Don't give it out if he'd have come. Got his head down, got on with it. Don't forget, I'm quite sure he was a big instigator in them posting that dressing room picture from the 4-1.
Oh, absolutely.
When he's at the front of it and screaming as he comes
where
up
the cameras are in the tunnel.
He's not stupid. So fair play. And listen, as me and Jack said earlier in the week, he will have his day against Everton. He'll score against Everton. Of course he will. Right? And he'll give it to us. And we'll just have to take that when that happens.
Yeah. So, exactly, and I won't have a problem with it either. Like if he does score and he gives it a bit of stick, then it's like, yeah, fair enough. That's football. You've got to take it, but don't expect us to not give it. Like if he's going to be willing to also give it himself, that's banter at the end of the day. It's like get over it.
No, I'm with you, Chris, because some of the crying on social media has been out of this world, and to the credit, I've seen a couple of Newcastle fans who've come out and said like, what I is all crying about, like saying like, you know what, I'd love it if Pickford had made a mistake and, you know, we did a little video, and that's all it is at the end of the day, innit? And like I said to you earlier in the week, clubs do this on TikTok all the time. The only difference is it's when on Twitter, so it's a different audience. It's an older audience who don't necessarily get that sense of humour, but at the end of the day, they've not said anything offensive. They put a sound effect on that they put on half time if people don't complete the crossbar challenge, haven't they? It's completely non-offensive, and it's got blown way out of proportion.
Didn't they do a little video thing? Remember when they beat us and Gordon was playing for us and it kicked off a bit? Remember they accused him of diving? Trippier.
Yeah.
And when they beat us that night, they put a little video of them all like going after Gordon and this, that, and the other.
And they played up to that when they signed him as well.
Then they signed him and put it back on, didn't they? They done the same thing.
But every club that Tottenham, the other week they won a game when they had 10 men, and they put up a tweet like having a pop at Arsenal for when they went a man down against City. And obviously Arsenal sat behind the ball and obviously that was a talking point. And Tottenham, next game, they go a man down. I think it was when they played Coventry in the Cup, and their tweet was down to 10 men, but we never stopped playing football. They put that up having a dig at Arsenal, who they hadn't even played, and like, no one batted an eyelid because it's football, innit? We all have a little pop at each other, and like we're saying about Gordon, one day he'll score against Everton, he'll do his celebration. Yes, we'll be angry because that's what we do as football
we'll have to
fans,
take it, won't we?
But we're not going to start crying and go, oh, but you know, the club he brought him through. What about the mental health of the football?
He's already disrespected us on many occasions. Already. Do you know what I mean? He disrespected the people who spent hour after hour developing up the football club when he refused to come to work for 3 days to get a move. So he's disrespected the football club for 6 months before he went. So it is what it is. But for me, listen, Jamie Carragher shouldn't really be getting it, in my opinion. Again, I've said it, and I've always found Jamie Carragher sound with me. I've said to you, Jack, I take people as I find them. Some of the stuff he gets involved in, I don't know why he bothers. I really don't. For me, he shouldn't be getting involved in this either, because it's got nothing to do with him. And what's the point? Like, what point are you trying to make? If Anthony Gordon was innocent, like proper innocent, and left well, then he could say, I don't get why you're having a... Like, how many times have Evertonians had to go at Richarlison?
Never. Like, even when he scored against us, I saw the Gladys clapping.
Right, because the lad has never disrespected us. He gave everything while he was here. He went, and we'd all take him back when we not in January. We'd all be dancing in the streets if he came back.
100%.
But obviously, Anthony Gordon done things differently, and therefore Ross Barkley, even though I think Ross Barkley actually done far less than what Anthony Gordon did, in my opinion, knowing the stuff that went on behind the scenes, the way Koeman treated Barkley and deliberately caused the divide. Barkley was given stick and continues to get stick. So
Yeah,
that's the big.
from what you guys have told, me about the situation with Barkley. I no matter how many times you say it, like I still get people telling me, "Oh, we wouldn't have Barkley back." It's like, hang on, this is the situation. This is what Koeman did to him, and like he threw him under the bus.
Oh, of course,
and even, like the facts are out now. It was like, surely now that you know the truth, like about what actually happened, that there's plenty of information there to say like we shouldn't really be hating this guy, and there's like some people just won't like change their mind.
With Gary Speed,
they hate Barkley, and that's it.
It happened with Gary Speed. Gary Speed to a lot of people was Judas, if you like, because he was a boyhood Evertonian. He was born an Evertonian. He lived his life as an Evertonian, and he sadly died an Evertonian at such a young age. But a lot of people wouldn't forgive him until it actually sort of started coming out what had actually gone on, which meant he felt like he had to leave the club. I'm not saying Ross Barkley was like that, but there was extenuating circumstances.
There's always a bit more
going on. It wasn't just I'm deciding to leave. Don't forget, and again, this isn't about Ross Barkley, but the lad wanted to sign a contract, and Koeman kiboshed it, for want of a better word. So, listen, it is what it is. Anthony Gordon, like we've said, he'll have his day and he'll celebrate, and the Geordies will love it unless he's playing for Liverpool by then. We'll see what the reaction is when he moves to Liverpool.
Yeah, exactly.
But I've got no issue if he scores against Everton at St James's Park. I won't like it, and I'll probably be calling them every name under the sun at the time. But I'll go, fair play. We've given it to you, and we'll continue to give it to you because of the way you are.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If you come out and said, you know what, I've acted a bit like a knobhead towards the football club, I'm just getting on with my football now, people would probably after a bit just go, yeah, let's move on. I actually just think I'd like Everton, I'd like us all to just sort of give them no respect. Not no respect so we disrespect them, but
just pay it no mind.
Yeah, not that thing of like, he means just sort of be like, you play for Everton for a bit, so what?
I don't want him after cared about Anthony Good. Don't get me wrong.
That's what I mean.
Nice, good as an atmosphere when you get against a player who you don't like. That's why we beat Chelsea every year for a few years, because Barkley would come on and get a bad reception and it'd get us all up. But ultimately, it's like we said before, the game, it is what it is with Gordon. Good deal for all parties. It's one of them. I don't think he'll be bothered at the end of the day, which is just even further reason for no one to jump in. I think he'll look at that, and given off how he was, trying to buzz off the crowd beforehand and, bouncing along to it, I think he'll just look at that and go, sound, I'll just celebrate extra hard if I do score against you next time. And that's the end of it. He's a grown man at the end of the day.
Yep, 100%. I very much agree with that. What else was I going to say? Oh, yeah, I was going to also... normally I'd probably dip at this point, but I don't think anyone else is coming. Is on the club call at the moment. So if there are any other Premier members, by the way, get on the club call. I was going to say,
or YouTube members. YouTube members are welcome as well. Yeah, if they want to get on. But anyway, Chris, go on. What was you going to say?
It was two things on like the manager situation, I guess, because the first thing is, from what I can see, like, I'm not necessarily Sean Dyche's biggest fan, and I don't think I ever really will be unless he massively changes the results over the course of the season. But there does seem to be like that thing within the camp that the players do really like this guy. Like, at least from what I can see on the socials, like they all seem to really want to stick with him and believe in him. That's just the outside perception. I don't know how much of that is true, but that's what I garner from that. Obviously, a lot of that will be dictated by the results. I think my question to you guys is, once if and when obviously the Friedkin group does take over, if there is a change, rather than who you guys want as the manager, who do you think will be the manager?
That's such a difficult question if you can't have your own slant on it, because you do you know what I mean? You sort of you're asking to predict their thinking.
Yeah, sorry, Chris.
Yeah,
do you mean
exactly.
like who's going to be like the manager, like when they're in properly, or who's going to be the manager like
who will be
the
their appointment, not who you?
Okay,
not who you want.
He's gone at the end of the year, regardless, isn't he?
Yeah,
but I suppose it depends on if you think he'll be gone before then.
Yeah, because for example, like obviously, we can have like my choice would be like someone like Tuchel, for example, but they might not be in that way of thinking at all. They might be thinking of something completely different. Yeah, I guess the only references that we have are like how they've handled things at Roma, for example. So it's more from the perspective of if they were looking at Everton, what would it's very hard again, like you said, to put yourselves in the mind of other people, but it's interesting to think what your guys thinking of what they would want going forward.
It's tricky, isn't it? Because I mean, people are asking about like what's the Friedkin news. Well, today it's out there now, isn't it, that they have already begun the process of identifying who they want to come into the football club in some key areas. And it is thought that they are enlisting the help of Retexo and Charles Gould, who are a data and analytics company. They help ownership groups find staff and sporting directors and players and all of that kind of stuff. So they'll be working with them, I guess, looking at who is available.
Yeah,
I guess it just depends what view they take. See, the Mourinho links don't really seem to fit. I know he employed them at Roma, but he also sacked them at Roma, even when he'd just lost in the Europa League final. They chased him, and he'd won them a trophy the year before. Now, that's great because that's standards and wanting better, but would Mourinho then leave a job in Turkey to come to Everton with the fella who sacked him? So that never really ran through with me. The Sarri links don't really fit, I don't think. So it's tough. It depends what their output is. You know, if their view of Everton is, right, what we're going to do is we're going to get a younger coach and younger players and all grow with an identity, then it seems like it'd be a European style coach. But I don't know.
I think you're limited in who you can bring into Everton, though, aren't you? Obviously, you've got to be ambitious and ask the question, but I think Mourinho, for example, would be difficult to do, especially given he's got a job. I wouldn't be shocked. I don't think it's necessarily the right choice, but again, the question isn't who you want, it's who do you think it'll be. I wouldn't be shocked at Graham Potter.
Yeah. And you're going to say Harry.
That's what I was going to say as well, Potter.
Well, he's available.
Relatively big name. He's managed Chelsea, you know, he's managed a big club.
Well, apparently he's very interested.
And, you know, it is getting time now for him to put his hands back in, isn't it? I wouldn't be shocked by it. I don't think that's necessarily the move at the current time with this current squad, but...
Who would you go with?
I really like the idea of Thomas Frank. I could really get behind Thomas Frank. I think that'd be a great long-term appointment.
Yeah.
But it's getting him out of Brentford, especially mid-season as well, would be difficult because, again, we don't know if they'd do a mid-season change on the manager, if they'll look at it and go, look...
Just done a 4-game change at Roma, I don't think.
Well, yeah, but if they want to bring a new director of football in, they'll probably want them to pick the manager.
See, I don't think they will bring a new director of football in.
No, but it's all things to consider, is what I mean, isn't it?
But if Thelwell did stay, I could see Graham Potter being brought in quickly, because he's free at the moment.
Yeah. Because I think if it was Frank, he'd probably bring in Frank at the start of next season and let Sean Dyche run out his contract, just because he's currently in at Brentford.
Yeah,
I think if it was a change, it would be like Potter. I think would be the most likely. He wouldn't be like you say, Jack. He wouldn't be my choice either, because I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of his style of football, but that's like kind of neither here or there in comparison to can he mentally handle Everton. He went in at Chelsea, and it was a big jump between Brighton and Chelsea in terms of the stature of the club. Now imagine you're at something which is very similar, but the club is massively underperforming considering what it should be capable of. So you've got the pressure without anywhere near the same level of talent on the pitch. So that could be just from a mental aspect of that could be something Potter struggles with. The Mourinho one is sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, well, what about this name? As someone who was sort of lauding Everton at the weekend, their fan base, and who may not have a job for very much longer.
How?
It was Eddie Howe.
I'd love him.
Would he be someone you would be open to, or is he a no-no?
Absolutely. I think he's a great manager. I think I like the way his teams play football. I like the fact that he improves players as well. I mean, if you look at what he did with the Newcastle team, with the amount of players there where the fans were just saying this guy's no good, like he's terrible, and he just managed to guys like Joe Linton, like Almiron, like they were saying these players, they need to be bombed out, and he turned them into like key components of their team.
Sean Longstaff, who a lot of them, I mean, a lot of people were fuming that he was coming to Everton, because obviously he was, if Rafa had stayed in, and he done well. I think the only sort of downside with Eddie Howe is that Tyndall would have to come as well. The Tyndall swindler. Tyndall swindler.
Tyndall swindler.
Yeah, he'd have to turn up, wouldn't he? And you'd want him to play you'd want him to calm down a bit, because he would get people's backs up. Not hard, but everyone else's, because he loves all that, doesn't he?
We like a bit of needle, though, don't we? A little bit of needle's always good.
Yeah, there's a difference between someone who's like a wind-up merchant and just like a bad spice boy, though, when he falls into the latter camp for me. I think the big sticking point for Howe, for me, other than Tyndall, is he has the potential to frustrate.
I am tongue-in-cheek with the Tyndall swindler.
I know, but he has the potential to frustrate the fans of his club sometimes. We've noticed sometimes he's reluctant to pull the trigger on a player. If, let's say, like, a key player's went out with injury, and whoever comes in their absence does okay, usually lets that player keep their spot, even if the one who's coming back is a much better player. He makes them...
Yeah, but a lot of managers do that, because...
I know, but he makes a point of doing it, How, and I think, look, don't get me wrong, it's a minor thing. The results are absolutely the most important, and he'd get good results. But I think at the moment we're frustrated that we're not seeing Patterson, we're not seeing Jake O'Brien.
Yeah, but my frustration with that is the person in that position isn't performing. If Nathan Patterson got in the team and was playing brilliantly, and then Coleman come back and people perceived Seamus Coleman to be better than Patterson, I wouldn't want Coleman coming in while Patterson's performing, because if you don't have the opportunity in a squad to keep your place in the team by performing really well,
if they're playing
you're getting rid of it. You're getting rid of that.
Yeah,
that's how you lose players, by doing that.
No, that's fair enough. If they're doing brilliant, that's fair enough. But it's if they're doing all right, and the lad who's been injured and could come in is a much better player. And I think sometimes he waits too long. Imagine NJ's been out for a couple of weeks, and in his absence, Jack Harrison comes in, does all right, gets a couple of assists playing on the left, and then weeks go by and NJ's on the bench, only coming on for 15 minutes. And Harrison's doing okay, but you want NJ in the team.
I know, but I think you'll always find
you'll always have a bit of that.
Managers.
I just think with how I've noticed it been highlighted a couple of times by Newcastle.
I mean, listen, at the moment,
great manager.
He's still a Newcastle manager, so it mightn't even... It's just that there's a bit of needle between him and Mitchell, isn't there? And there's a bit of unrest. And this Newcastle may well keep him, but I don't know. Hoyle, who's a YouTube member, says no, most Toffees want Moyes back in, but is that not a step back? New club, new stadium, new owners. Let's get a new manager. Where are you on David Moyes, Chris?
He gave me my best days as an Evertonian, so I think for where Everton are, I think what he would be the thing that would set the club up well for the next manager coming in. So I don't think he would do anything like take the club until the end of the season. I think realistically he would probably want a bare minimum of 2 to 2.5 years. To basically do what he needs to do in order to get this club moving forward. I think he would leave it in a better position than when he found it compared to what Dyche does. And I like the guy a lot. I think even though it's not necessarily the most ambitious appointment, I think it would still be a very good, solid appointment, and I'd have no problem with it whatsoever.
Okay.
No, that's fair enough, isn't it? I think it is easy to think along the lines of, come on, let's move forward. Because we all want the club to move forward, and going back to, a manager that you had 10 plus years ago, I do take that, but then you just look at, as a manager, he's a very good manager. and he'd get you where you want to be.
Yeah, just because someone's like older
Moyes,
doesn't
yeah.
necessarily mean they're still not capable of doing it.
No,
I mean,
no.
he's won his first piece of major silverware in his 60s. It's like
Mhm.
what he's done for West Ham is incredible. He took them from relegation fodder to regular top half table contenders. And I think a lot of the frustration with the West Ham fans was basically because he changed the expectations of what the club is and where it should be performing. And I understand that. And I don't want to sort of say to fans like of any other club, like you're like ridiculous for wanting to get rid of him, because obviously we're not watching that team every day. So I understand that. But I do think realistically, if you're talking moving forward, I think, yes, Moyes isn't this young, exciting manager that necessarily everyone would want, but I do think he would progress the club forward to closer to where it needs to be. It's one of the things that frustrates me about Dyche is that he was the perfect manager for the time, because he came in to a situation where we just needed an adult to walk into the room, just calm everything down and just get a grip on everything. And that's exactly what he's done. The problem is, I don't like what we haven't seen from Dyche is him taking the club like further up the table. Like his record, like unfortunately, his record is very much against him. He's 12 seasons in top flight. The first 4 games of the season, that's 48 games. He's won 4 of them. He's only won 6 games of Premier League football in 2024. There's a lot of stuff that goes against him, unfortunately.
We've lost Chris there, but
I can still hear him.
Oh, can you? Oh, I can't.
Well, no, he's gone now. But
yeah.
Can you hear me?
I couldn't. I can hear you now. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, go on, carry
Oh,
on, Chris.
right.
Sorry.
Yeah. So unfortunately, with Dyche, is like the ideal situation realistically is somehow Dyche changes is able to change everything with like these new owners that come in and just proves it to not only the club but us, the fans, that he is actually capable of implementing like a modern philosophy in terms of football that will take the club forward. The problem is his record is unfortunately very much against him in that regard. So I think Moyes would, like, for me, it would be a good solid appointment. Is it the most exciting? No, I think there are managers out there which would make me go, like, wow, that's incredible. Like, obviously, like Tuchel is like the most obvious example, but nah, Moyes would not be bad for me at all. On the Mourinho, the interesting thing with that one is I don't see it happening realistically, but what I would say is he did go back to Chelsea again, even though he got sacked at Chelsea once before already. Well, I mean, you've also got guys like Carlo Ancelotti. He was sacked by Real Madrid. He went back to Real Madrid. I think it could, like, in terms of the interaction between Mourinho and the fans, I'm fairly sure our fans would love him, and I'm fairly sure Mourinho would love us as well. I think that would be a very interesting cocktail to see what would happen if Mourinho came to Everton. I don't see it happening, but it wouldn't completely surprise me.
It'd be box office, like, wouldn't it? And that would all necessarily be great box office. But you're right, and you make a good point, to be honest, about him going back to Chelsea. I mean, him and Chelsea was a real love affair, wasn't it? Because that was almost his club, Chelsea. But you're right, you make a good point. Managers will work with owners who've sacked them before, but we'll just have to see, won't we? Obviously, he's in a job at the moment, and look, as it gets closer, I'm sure a lot of names will be mentioned, won't there? A lot of managers. Right now, the easy links are the Italian links because of Roma managers they'll be aware of. But if they are using this data model, and they're looking at all options for all appointments, I'm sure they'll be considering every qualified manager under the sun who's capable and suitable.
Yeah. We'll see. It's difficult to know what they'll do. David Moyes is a excellent manager. He's proved it. He's won silverware. And there's other managers. Obviously, Mourinho's a tremendous manager, but he's a short-term manager. It's whether they want a longer term than all that. Moyes, if you want someone to steady the ship, calm it down, gets the club and knows the fans and gets you. I think he's a better manager than Sean Dyche. I think it just is. He just is. much better.
He's an objectively provable better manager than Sean Dyche is. He has a much higher win rate
in everything.
His points per game was higher. He's won silverware, and he's
relegated less.
It's any way you look at it, he's a better manager. If you want that safer pair of hands while you're trying to kick the club in the right direction, he might be one. He's out of work. But there are a lot of, it's a big world, and there are a lot of good managers out there. And if you actually want to grab it, Graham Potter, I think he's got loads of potential, but he's 49. It's like, where is that? Not that that's old, that's a great age, but it's what, like, where does he start again and have to rebuild? Do you know what I mean? I don't know where that takes us, because he hasn't actually achieved anything.
I know what you mean. It's very much unfulfilled promise with Graham Potter.
Carlos Corberan at West Brom, Dino Topmoller over in Germany. Someone's just mentioned Abel Ferreira. There's obviously Sarri's an older one. I'm not sure about him. There's loads. There's absolutely loads out there. But it just depends what kind of direction you want to take. I mean, Everton Viking says I don't get the Thomas Frank thing. Seems decently competent, but I don't understand why people want him as their top choice.
I think he's really overperformed at Brentford, to be honest. There was a period where, to be honest, I would have agreed with you, but having looked at that Brentford squad, I really don't rate their players, to be honest. I think he's done well with them. I think he's got the right balance of football in terms of, trying to be defensively sound, but they try and attack. They've scored, 3 goals now in the first 2 minutes of games? 4.
Yeah. They lost Ivan Toney as well. Like they lost Ivan Toney, and they still found ways of like scoring goals regardless. I mean that's you have to give a lot of credit to the manager in that situation as well. So you lose your main goal threat, so you have to find another way of scoring, and he did. There's a lot of managers in this league when they lose that main goal scoring player, the goals can just drop off, and that didn't happen with Brentford and Thomas Frank's side.
No, definitely not.
There's other models to look at. I mean, like, can we honestly say with like Brighton that we'd even heard of any of the 3 like managers they've employed recently? Like, but obviously after Graham, but 2, sorry. So, like, did anyone really know who De Zerbi was when they employed him? No, came in first season, he did really well. And obviously now they've got a manager who is younger than I am. Like, because I don't even consider myself that old, because I'm only like 33, but their manager's 31, and he's lost 1 game in the Premier League this season so far. Got a draw away at Arsenal.
They could have him in a lab, mate.
Mate,
he's done well at St. Paul.
Yeah, exactly. Like, these are names which, like, they could have the same idea where they actually go, right, let's look around at who's performing in like maybe like second divisions of like football in like different leagues around the world or in Europe or what have you, and go, who's actually performing and taking a club forward, and can they come into a club like ourselves and handle this kind of fan base? So they could be looking from that perspective as well.
Yeah, who knows? It's difficult to say, isn't it? But we'll see. I mean, AIEFC says, is there any circumstances in which Dyche stays beyond this season?
I think it would have to be like, it depends on if there's like a unified vision between the owners, the director of football, and the manager, where they say, we can play, like, a Dyche is like almost like takes exactly everything he wants to do in terms of bold ambitions, in terms of how he wants his teams to play football, and he's given the backing and the players he needs to do it. Then in that situation, you could say, okay, maybe he stays on. I don't necessarily see that happening, because generally speaking, like you said, Baz, when ownership changes, the manager normally changes with it. But there'll be a lot of hearsay in terms of what would have to. He'd need a new vision, because like a lot of the managers that have come in, like we've had Farhad Moshiri tell our managers one thing, and then the reality is a completely different thing they've now got to work with. I mean, we had Rafa Benitez say this. He said he was going to get a budget of 150 million on players, and then he was given 2 million. Dyche has kind of hinted that he was told one thing, and then it's now another thing in terms of what they're doing. So what the owners and the manager would have to do is they'd have to come to some kind of understanding. Sorry, probably cut you guys off there a bit. What were you going to say something on that as well? Or?
No. Just agreeing with you.
Fair. I make good comments every now and then.
No, it's good. You're right. So we'll just listen. We'll just have to see what happens. We don't know what they're gonna do, but things are moving forward with them, and that's great news for everybody. And the sooner that's done, the better. And obviously, we'll probably find more information as we go through the next few weeks. But I personally don't see the situation where they keep Sean Dyche, because I just think new owners. They either get rid of you straight away, or they are looking for that first opportunity to cull you.
Justify it.
And that's why I think they'll just make the decision without, you know, and they're coming into Everton because they want Everton to do well.
On success,
don't they? Then they'll have their own ideas how to do that, and I think they like a clean slate.
Yeah, as it stands, I don't see us progressing with Sean. He doesn't really show me anything which should suggest that they will. I'd love to be proven wrong, but I just don't see it. I'll get off, guys, because I've realised it's just been an hour, so I'll go.
That's all right. Good man. Nice good to talk to you, Chris.
You too,
Take
mate.
care.
You too,
Cheers, mate. Take care.
And good luck, Ned. Thank you.
See you, mate. Bye. Yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? But obviously, it is good that the news of the takeover is progressing. The news that they are looking to identify people now. I think the first appointment really needs to be a CEO. Are we thinking that the Roma CEO has got a chance, the ex-CEO now of Roma?
It seems likely, doesn't it? Because obviously we went through their credentials the other week on Round the Tower, and very accomplished indeed. And obviously, you know, obviously dismissed from Roma, but the situation there, it did not seem like it was necessarily based on performance.
No.
There's a different dynamic over there between fans and ownership than there is in England, isn't there? And it dictates a lot of how the club is run. But yeah, she's obviously very accomplished in her own right. The Friedkins obviously rate her highly to have brought her in the first place. If they are looking to make Everton their primary control, it makes sense to have someone in there you trust, doesn't it?
Definitely. I mean, Jason says, regarding Frank and Potter, is it them, or is it their strength due to the backroom and the scouting systems? It's going to take more than just the front of face.
Well, I think Potter definitely, because I think Potter benefited from some great transfers at Brighton. Brentford's transfer business for the last couple of years, I've got to be honest, I haven't been overly impressed by. I know they sort of innovated that model, but since they got promoted, the transfer business hasn't been the best. So I think in a way, Thomas Frank's actually performed in spite of Brentford at times, although he obviously has a backroom staff that is catered towards him.
Fair enough. Steve P says, if Dyche gets a new contract, I honestly think that will be me done with football. Well, it won't be football. Might be you done with Everton, mightn't it? And P. Macker says, not bothered who we get as long as Dyche gets legged. Michael says, no, you're right. He didn't say the best man's in the league because that's Pep. He did say Frank will go on to bigger and better things. And why wouldn't he say Arteta and Emery is some of the best?
What's that about?
Best managers around. Pep was talking about Paulo Fonseca as well. Everton were linked with him, weren't they?
That's been going on for years, hasn't it?
Forever and a day, that, isn't it?
When we were linked with Silva, we were linked with Fonseca.
What about David Ancelotti or Sergio Conceição?
Ancelotti's interesting, isn't it? That is a risk, and it is, take that gamble, take that ambitious step, but it's... Good coaches don't always make good managers. The fella from Liverpool who was heralded there as a great manager, he's at Red Bull Salzburg, and it's not going well for them. He was heralded as a coach, and he was, the one who's given all the credit for Klopp's success at one point. So it's difficult. I get the attraction, and it carries on that legacy of Carlo Ancelotti, doesn't it? But yeah, big risk.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's guesswork, isn't it? How do we know what they're thinking right now? You know what I mean? And obviously, what I think is really interesting for the last couple of minutes is, Pedder, you got your mic there. Ned, just put Ped's mic up. Obviously, this has come out today about the Friedkin group. Yeah, making all of these appointments, identifying people. Yeah. And the tech who identifying sport and directors and all that. There was a report a couple of weeks ago that if the Friedkin group well, got it, because Texter was still involved at this stage, they would get Ralph Rangnick in as a sporting director. I mean, do you think there's anything in that, or do you think that ship sailed and they're more likely to either give Thelwell a new deal or go for a younger sporting director?
It's hard to know, isn't it? Because we're like, everyone's looking for just like a little bit of information, what's out there. Is the ties, is the links, we've heard links with coaches with them because they're in Italy, or I think right now they'll be putting the feelers out into organisations and just seeing who's available and who could be the best fit for this where Everton are right now. Don't forget this. It might be a case of a long-term strategy. This might be a case of for where Everton are right now. That's in many ways that's what might get Sean Dyche through the season. Is that? And it might be for next season. You've got to prepare budgets. You've got to know. Everton are in a situation where the two most important people at the club right now, the manager and the director of football, are both out of contract at the end of the season. And Everton are in a situation where 12 players we currently have 12 players contracted from next season onwards. So if that's the case, that strikes me as you do one or two things. Forget the manager for now. The director of football needs to be replaced immediately. And the new one brings in players.
Oh, okay.
Or the flip side of that is that the director of football is given a new contract immediately and is told to get on with the job of bringing new players in and setting that up for whoever the manager's going to be. And whoever that manager's going to be is those players are there, and they're not for those players, they're for the director of football, and the manager then follows suit. So Ralph Rangnick's an interesting one because he can be the manager or the director of football.
Yeah.
But if Ralph Rangnick could come into it, or someone like him, immediately, because he understands the landscape straight away. He's been in the Premier League. So yeah, I mean, that could be, you could easily look at the situation and go, Ralph Rangnick would get straight in and would know what was needed at Everton and have all the resources, understand what kind of players need to play in the Premier League, and probably already have all kinds of lists of players he'd like to get. I'm sure he keeps up with it. So of course that's a thing that you could easily go, that could happen. Listen, I've got no evidence. None of us in this room have got any evidence to suggest that Ralph Rangnick could come into Everton. But what I think we can honestly say is, if he did come in, I'm sure he would understand straight away what the job was. There's a big call to be made, because Everton have to address these things straight away.
Yeah.
Because these are vital things that, the 12 players for next season's incredible, but it's an incredible opportunity as well, because whoever comes in has got a fantastic opportunity. But we know how the system works. Anyone who understands football knows how the system works. Right now is when you are planning for next summer. You've already basically got January boxed off if you're a functioning football club. You're planning right now for next summer, so Everton have got to be on that straight away. And that just, to me, opens up this. That's why you'd say probably go with what you've got off the field. Director of football can sort itself out. I'm not sure the manager can sort itself out that easily.
Yeah, it's true. Right, last couple before we go. Rob Vanman, who is a YouTube member, says, if they're looking around for people, do you think the takeover is close? I think it's moving really quickly, mate. I don't think anyone thinks there's any issues anywhere. It's just a case getting the Premier League approval, things like that. Pedder's done an exclusive interview with Matt Slater from The Athletic. If you're a Premier member, it is out now. You can go and watch it. I think, is it available tomorrow on YouTube?
Yeah, it's on Premiere tonight. It'll be on YouTube tomorrow
evening.
We cover the takeover, what happened in the summer, what's happening now, 777 court case, and how the situation with Manchester City could affect us positively and negatively.
So, obviously, if it were to go out tomorrow, that wouldn't be a long wait. But, there's no guarantee it goes out tomorrow. So just make sure you don't miss out
upselling.
And you know, just sign up to Premiere. It's only
Oh, it's
£2
full
quid.
of, it's
You get
full
to
of
watch, you
exclusives.
get to watch it. You get to watch Tenable and stuff.
Toffees Takeover
Just in case you will, because you know you might never ever get to watch Tenable. You never might get to watch the match later interview. You know,
Incredible.
if you sat watching this, I can imagine you can afford a laptop and that or a
the
telly.
energy to make
So,
you
yeah.
like just buy
Yeah,
pay a couple of quid.
Yeah.
you know,
I am.
probably find that down
It's
the back
cheaper.
of the sofa.
than a coffee at Costa.
I don't really
And
like.
you know what? Costa coffee ain't all that
I
great.
like a latte.
I don't like
other coffee
Yeah.
places.
But also, there's no
But it's
adverts on any of the videos or
No
podcasts.
adverts.
I
on
don't
videos. There's
like
a big
it.
seller.
It's on a latte.
And if Jack and Ned ever come back, they will only be exclusives on Toffee
Of course.
TV
yeah,
Premiere.
exactly.
And who
I don't
knows?
like coffee
Who knows? No
or
one knows whether or not
ads, so.
the full version will go up on YouTube.
Who knows?
Who knows?
You might
Right.
watch that video and go on YouTube and go, is there more of this video?
There's more
And
exclusiveness.
when you get to and the most important thing is,
We'll-
and it cuts to the end screen of
Yeah.
Baz.
I think one of the life's mysteries is you don't know what you don't know, and if you're not on Premiere, then you don't know what you're missing out on. And if
Do you know what, Ned?
I can't tell the people that they're missing out on what they're missing out on.
You've
They've got to just decide for
They're
themselves.
missing out on you telling them what they're missing out
For the
on.
sake of £3 as well is bizarre. If you want to live your life that way, then
okay.
If you want to
brave.
live
You
your
want to
life
live
that
your
way,
life that way?
Okay, let's just kill it there.
tight in my opinion, but you know.
Let's kill it there.
shut up,
Let's kill it there.
if
Posh
you want-
Matty, I agree. Starbucks is better.
And if you want a new bank account,
Right. I mean,
Bizarre how you-
YouTube member says I could easily get behind Rangnick. He'd be a good choice. Yeah. All of that.
Say
Right,
that on Premiere, you get it read out quicker.
Jesus Christ.
Like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Thanks for watching. We'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.